Hello there. As promised, I'm making a short video on the astrology of a new world. It sounds dramatic because it is. We're entering into a really important, huge switch of planets, and I'm going to get into a few of them. And one is just really long term when it comes to Pluto. So we're going to talk about what that means in a little more depth. The first one coming up is Saturn, and that ends a 2.5 year cycle and starts another 2.5 to 3 year cycle. So that one's really important to orient yourself over the next couple of years, right? What can you expect? Now, we always have to look at where these things fall in our particular chart to know what area of your life will be impacted and in what kind of way. So the third one that we have moving around is Mars, finally, moving out of Gemini. Now, Mars normally sticks around 6 weeks, 2 months in a sign. It was extremely unusual for Mars to hang around in one sign for 6 months. And no doubt you've been feeling it. So I'm going to go into that as well and how that's also going to shift into Cancer in March. So we have this big shift of some pretty major energies. Now, before I get into it, I wanted to show you that I'm going to be doing a workshop on this. So bear with me and I will share the image of the workshop I'm doing. So here we go. I wanted to give a workshop because I think it's important to help people navigate these big trends. So yes, I'm calling it Astrology of a New World. In the workshop, we're going to go into even more depth than what I'm going to give you now in this video about the changes. And in the workshop, we're going to talk about how it particularly will impact your chart. So if you come to the workshop, you'll need to give me your birthday and year and time so I can do your chart. If you don't have your time, we can still give you a lot of information. You can make your best guess, but ideally you should have your birth time. If you don't, like I said, we can still tell you quite a bit about what's going to happen in the next little while for you. The other thing is, I don't want to start getting too ahead of ourselves with what's going to happen when we're talking about Pluto in Aquarius. That's going to last up until 2044. So we're not going to start predicting all the way up for 24 years. What I'm going to focus on in the workshop is the spring. The spring, we're going to see the shift of Pluto in Aquarius from end of March till June. We're going to see Saturn go into Pisces. We're going to see Mars go into Cancer. We're going to see other changes as well, but I just wanted to give people a way to take a look at the springtime coming up. So 3 or 4 months ahead. And I personally think astrology is invaluable for that because you can get a big picture and you can sort of expect what's coming so that when it does, you know how to either maximize it or work with it a lot better. So if you come to the workshop, we'll do your chart and you will get personal feedback on how these planetary shifts are going to affect you. So I'm going to share this again on social media. But if you're watching this on my YouTube channel and you want to join, then please just email me. I'm going to have my email in the comments like usual. Alrighty. We're going to just talk about these planets then. All right. So the first big change we're going to see is the 7th of March. So right now, we're end of February. We're coming up on the new moon. The new moon is going to be the 19th or 20th of February, depending where you live. I'm going to say the 20th because that's the Eastern time zone. So the new moon's going to be in Pisces, sun in Pisces. So it's already sort of got this Pisces feeling in the air. But we're on the last few degrees of Aquarius for Saturn. So if you're born at the end of Aquarius, meaning mid-February, if you're born at the end of Taurus, mid-April, if you're born end of Leo, mid-August, if you're born end of Scorpio, so mid-November, it's going to be a more intense time than usual because Saturn is making a square or an opposition or a conjunction to your sun. And what that feels like usually is you feel a lot of pressure. You feel a certain sense of self-discipline. You might feel that everything is very serious. You know, you're not joking around. You don't find any of this funny, what's going on. You also might, in some ways, take things seriously in a good way too, though. You might realize, okay, I really do have to commit and make, you know, certain changes in my life because it's feeling serious. Saturn is structural. Saturn rules time. It's Chronos. Saturn rules sort of like the foundation of the house. And if it's not solid, the house won't last. It doesn't matter how pretty it is on top. So Saturn asks you to shake your foundations and look at your foundations. So when it's squaring your sun, it's going to be rock and roll because you might have actual opposition, whether that's personally or to your plans or your goals. What you're trying to build feels like there's something maybe getting, you know, opposed or getting in the way of what you're trying to build. But it's there for a reason, you know, these transits. It's hard, but you have to take a look at these deep inner conflicts in yourself. If something is not going the way you want or it feels blocked, you have to ask yourself, what in me needs to shift? You know, it's hard work with Saturn, but it's worth it. It's sort of like Saturn transits are sort of like a time of therapy, you know? You really have to take a look at why are things not working and look at yourself honestly. Shifting your expectations, shifting your beliefs, understanding the way you go about things is not working for you. Those are all potential themes. So Saturn's in the last few degrees of Aquarius until it hits Pisces. So you're going to feel this depending when you're born. You know, it might be a little more intense for you now, or if you're really born right at the end of the sign, it's going to be a little more intense up until the 7th of March. Then it's going to flip into Pisces. So Saturn in Aquarius is all about, you know, somebody that is a bit skeptical. They need to open their mind and open their horizons to people. They're social, but they might not, you know, they might be leery of becoming part of groups and like, I don't need to belong to that. You know, I don't know what they're about. I don't know if I can trust it. Even though it's the sign of brotherly love where it's like acceptance and you do you, but Saturn means that's the lesson. So that means that's not what you're doing. Saturn tends to play out in a funny way with people. They go to one extreme or the other. So if your life lesson is to like find your tribe and hold space for, okay, that's your beliefs. That's great. You do that. This is my group and we're okay. We'll let you visit. You know, we accept you. Kitty wants to visit the video. Okay. So if that's your life lesson is to balance that, so the extremes of not balancing that would be like loner, doesn't want to join anything, doesn't really trust anybody, no group is quite right, no group fits, don't really accept everyone, or sort of and not really. That could be one expression or extreme. The other extreme might be the person who just lets in everyone and everything and has no discernment. So Saturn's asking you to discern and know, this is who I am. And this is These are my folks, and accepting others, but also with discernment to know where you fit and don't fit. So that's been a lesson for all of us with Saturn and Aquarius the last 2.5 years. Now the lesson is going to shift into Pisces. And Saturn in Pisces is more emotional and spiritual, and the imagination and creativity. Ultimately, the lesson of Saturn in Pisces is that you must learn that we are all one. Tough one. A tough one coming out of Saturn in Aquarius, where if we haven't learned that one and we're still like factioning off into groups and we're still skeptical and we don't trust others and things are more depersonalized, and then you go into this space of like, well, but we're all one. People be like, right. Yeah, sure, dude. We're all one. Yeah. People won't buy it. But this is the lesson of Saturn in Pisces. So what to me is going to happen is you're going to see a lot more people feeling lonely and isolated. But you're also going to see some people who are able to bond and transcend. So if you have been working on yourself, your relationships, your healing, this could be, Saturn in Pisces could be a really great time to go deepen your relationships, your friendships, your sense of compassion for yourself, for others, for your friends, for society. Volunteer work, we'll see a lot more people starting to volunteer and do humanitarian work under Saturn and Pisces. Maybe not right away, but it'll happen. You'll see people having mercy on others. Maybe, again, not at first, but it'll happen. Because in order for us to learn that we're one, often we need to go through a crisis where we are forced to ask for help. You know, sometimes a horrible crisis actually brings people together and gives them faith, as crazy as that sounds. When I was in London over Christmas, I was giving readings to some ladies that were from the Ukraine. They were trapped in the train station during the first night of the invasions with the bombings. And I was just feeling so much empathy for them. And I was more nervous, upset than they were in the moment, because they had gone through such a horrific experience, but they were also offered this asylum, and they were able to go to England and start new and have people give them hope and take care of them. And so it restored their faith. A few of them told me this. So imagine, you know, so we could see something like this play out in a global way or in a personal way, where you might feel more vulnerable and isolated. You must reach out. You must reach out and ask for help during Saturn in Pisces, and it will be there. And it will be, you will find sometimes the softness, the spiritual counselor, the right therapist, the calm environment, the art class, whatever it is. If you're willing to ask for that help and come outside your shell, there's enormous potential for this to be a very bonding time. However, like I said, the other extreme, or the shadow of it, is that there will be more and more and more people who are isolated and lonely and feel desperate, and who need help desperately. So we're going to see both. So it's going to be really pulling on the heartstrings with Saturn in Pisces. But there can also be some really beautiful feelings of we're all one, which will definitely shift our perspective, you know? So March 7th to May 24th, 2025, Saturn in Pisces. And then it's going to retrograde. And then from August 31st, 2025 to February 13th, 2026, before it leaves Pisces. So we've got close to 3 years of what I'm talking about. So if you want to come to my workshop, we will take a look at where Saturn and Pisces is going to hit in your chart, so that you'll know, oh, you know, for me, for example, that's going to start off in my house of health, and it's going to go into my house of love during this 3 years, and it's already begun. Being forced to ask for help and take care of my health in new ways, it's already begun. And so I'm expecting more of that. And because for me, it's in my health house, I know that a lot of my healing will be spiritual. It will be artistic and creative. It will be the holistic community versus doctors, because it's Pisces. It'll be energetic healing and clearing, and a lot of, you know, emotional, psychological stuff to look at with the health. For you, it might fall in a totally different area of your chart, but I can be that specific with you in the workshop. So the next thing we'll talk about, because that's coming up in the near future, is Mars. So Mars has been in Gemini for about 6 months. It entered in October. Now, Mars in Gemini brings in a lot of activity, a lot of socializing, a lot of people, a lot of talking, a lot of emails, a lot of calls, a lot of tech, a lot of, you know, 5 projects at a time, scatter, overwhelm if there's too much going on with Mars and Gemini, because it will take on, you know, 15 things at once, and it'll say, sure, I'll do that next one. So you might have been managing more projects than you can handle, more people than you can handle, more multitasking than you can handle. That's one way that it could play out. For some of you, the social side and the multitasking might have been like, you might have been on a real high, on an overdrive, like getting so much done. You know, if you're lucky, it played out for you that way. But for a lot of people, I think it's played out as a lot of drama in relationships, because of a lot. Mars and Gemini can be very Jekyll and Hyde, like, oh, now I'm all your friend, and like, oh, now I'm pulling away. Inconsistencies, lack of commitment with Mars and Gemini. You might have seen a lot of people promise and rescind. Oh, you know, oh, you're not gonna, you're there. Oh, you're not gonna be there. Okay. Flakiness sometimes with it can happen. Some of you, if you're in communications field, could have been like crazy busy. Could have been a great time to publish, write, blog, get things out there on video. Advertising might be a really busy time. A lot of networking could have been going on. A lot of new inroads, but you know, now they have to be followed up on. And the other thing with Mars and Gemini that I know is going on for most people is it is a restless and anxious energy. So Mars is sort of like always like ready to jump, ready to jump, ready to perch, ready to jump, ready to move, change your mind, change your mind. Constantly like zzz, 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 zzz. So I am personally looking forward to Mars leaving Gemini, so that something calms down a bit on that level, because it's been 6 months of go, 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 and a lot of nervousness in everyone. So March 25th, all the way to May 20th. So we got 2 months. We have Mars in Cancer. So 2 planets going into water signs, from air to water. So what's that do? Out of the head and into the emotions, into the heart. Mars in Cancer is very, yes, emotional. Doesn't like conflict, doesn't say things directly. That's the flaw of Mars in Cancer. It likes to go sideways. It can manipulate to get what it wants. That's the shadow. So we want to watch for that. Watch that people are not emotionally manipulating you during Mars in Cancer. However, the good side of Mars in Cancer is that it's very tender, it's thoughtful, it's nurturing others. And again, Saturn in Pisces, this compassion factor, and Mars in Cancer, like caring and reaching out. This could be quite lovely, honestly. We're going to see some of the shadow side, like we always do, of anything. But I personally think the spring, we might see just It might feel just like a big outreach, a big hug, a big outpouring. And you might see it on a global level, maybe toward, it's hard to say, you know, towards certainly the horrible earthquakes that happened. You know, we might just see like amazing humanitarian efforts and generosity happening. We might see a lot of people again stepping up, doing volunteer work, coming out of their shell, helping people, those who can. We're going to definitely see that aspect. And when it comes to our relationships, all that water, it's very, you know, it's good because you'll have to speak from the heart. You'll have to you'll have to deal with your emotions, and it can increase your intimacy with people. So we're shifting out of the head where it's all ideas and talking about it and into the feelings. So things land deeper. So March 25th to May 20th, Mars in Cancer. And we will take a look at where that hits your chart as well. Now, for me, I am a Cancer, so I know that when Mars is in my sign, that it's going to energize me. So if you're a Cancer, Mars will give you some energy. The downside is Mars in your sign. When it's close to your sun, sometimes there can be a potential for accidents or for like, you know, aggressive moods coming your way, or people trying to say crap about you, or that's possible with Mars in Cancer, like when Mars hits your sign. So for Geminis, you might have had to endure that over the last 6 months. So ask yourself that if you're a Gemini or Gemini rising or something, you might have seen a period where you're like, why has everyone got like some stink around me right now? Like, what's going on here? Why am I getting in, you know, why am I bumping into things? Why am I dropping stuff? It's temporary. It's temporary when it comes around your sign. So, you know, if you're a Cancer or Cancer rising, Cancer moon, you want to pay attention to when does Mars hit that for you, and you might just want to, you know, not go bungee jumping during that time. Not like Cancers bungee jump much anyway, but well, Tom Cruise probably would. Okay, now let's talk about the big one, the really big one, Pluto. So Pluto is in the last degrees of Capricorn right now. So, and it's been in the last degrees, the late degrees for the last year or two. But now it's getting to the critical degrees because it's about to shift sign. We always say that when it hits that 29th degree, right before it changes, that it's crucial, meaning events can happen, you know, larger events that could shift the world could happen when it hits the last degree. But we've been in these last few degrees of Capricorn. So again, if you're born at the end of Capricorn, so late January, like 15th to 20th in there, you're feeling it. You've been feeling it a while. Pluto's not a quick influence. It will, when it hits the sun, or if you're a Cancer and it's opposing your sun, if you're an Aries or a Libra and it's been squaring your sun, you'll have been feeling that power trips, control issues, territorial stuff going on, you know, just a certain undercurrent of tension with people. You'll have been feeling that at some point, if you're in those late degrees. If you're right at the end of your sign, it's up and coming now. Meaning, if you're an Aries, you're talking about like, you know, 17th to 20th of April. If you're talking Cancer, you're talking about, you know, July, like 19th to 22nd, somewhere in there, you're going to feel it. Like it's right at the edge. Libras, same thing, October, yeah, like 18th, 19th to 21st, something, somewhere in there. If you're in the Libra, you're feeling it. So we do expect that there's going to be something big that happens with this Pluto shift in March. Nobody's really saying what. I'm not really sure what either. I just feel something global, something that creates an outpouring. something that creates a strong desire to say no more of this. Because Pluto in Aquarius is all about the upcoming rebellion against patriarchy, against the capitalist system, the top-down 1% rich and you're down there model. Pluto in Aquarius, there's many years of it to come, but this kickstarts the beginning, the rumblings of the revolution. Some of you will find that terrifying. Some of you find that energizing, you know? So Pluto's in Aquarius, starts March 23rd and goes to June 11th. And then it's going to retrograde back into Capricorn. So all of you people that I just told you, the end of your sign, that you're feeling the tension, it's going to come back. Whatever you're going through now, it's going to come back again from June up to January 20th, 2024. And then it's going to be in Aquarius from January 2024 to September 2024. And then it's going to retrograde a bit again. And you're going to be like, oh my God, how many times do I have to learn this thing? Okay. This is why Pluto is important. This is why astrology is important, because you're not getting out of this little tension. Oh, respite. Oh, tension. Oh, back we go. Tension again. You got 3 times to go through this before it's done. So you're going to want to know, where the heck is this in my chart? What area of my life can I expect back and forth, back and forth? Because you've got to prepare your mind to know, what am I supposed to be doing and learning? How do I decide? How do I strategize well during a period like this? Because Pluto can be an enormous time of change and rebirth, or it can be a time of destruction and feeling like it's absolute hell. It depends on how you deal with it. But this is the time frames. So once again, you're going to feel the tension up until the 23rd of March. Then it goes into Aquarius till June. You're going to start to feel a bit of that tension again, June 11th to January 20th, 2024, until September 1st, 2024. Then it's going to go back again one more time, November 19th, 2024. And then it's going to stay from November 19th, 2024, all the way to March 8th, 2043. 2043. This is why it's so important we understand what Pluto in Aquarius means. We're looking at the next 20 years. 20 years of a new chapter, of a new way to live. This is why people say 2024 is such a big year. And you've got to take a look at what part of your chart it's going through, because it's going to be emphasized for 20 years. Pluto doesn't hit everything. It doesn't go around like Mars, where it keeps going around, and the moon round and round. Saturn very slowly, but it'll complete the cycle 2 or 3 times in your life, because it's 30-year cycle. Uranus takes 7 years to go through something, so it doesn't complete, unless you live to 144. Neptune, 11 or 12 years, sometimes more. So you're only going to get Neptune going through part of your life. Pluto is so slow, it's only going to go through a few signs in a lifetime. And that's where you get this feeling that you came to live something. You chose to live certain lessons based on your chart, because it's going to sweep through a few areas of life and really gut you on those lessons. So Pluto and Aquarius. I'm going to go into this much more in depth in my workshop. I think I'm about to sneeze. Okay, not yet. Pluto is going to bring in, as I said, the revolutionary energy. Oh, there it is. It will hold accountable all of these top-down capitalistic corporate government systems we've been living under for a very long time. So this means we're going to see over this period of time a complete overhaul of how our banks work, our monetary system, our institutions, which can mean government, can mean legal, can mean healthcare. Aquarius brings in technological advances. Whether we like it or not, we're going to see artificial intelligence and how it's applied to life. It brings in, as we said, this brotherhood of man aspect. How that plays out, honestly, I don't feel utopian about that. There will be certainly people that feel that they find their tribe, or maybe there'll be more people in communes and cults than ever before, because they're like, well, we found our ideology and these are our people and this is what we're doing and we're going to go off and do it and you're not going to stop us. There might be that. There might be lots of, like I said, revolutionary energy and revolutionary groups and people wanting to just buck the system and say, you can't tell me what to do and we're going to go off and do it our way, come hell or high water, and we're starting a new city and we're starting a new company and we're doing this way now. And it's going to be a lot of breaking apart of this like top down effect, you know, one emperor and the slaves down there below kind of feeling. If we want to go back to the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, we have to go to 244 years ago. So we're going to take a look in the workshop at what happened during the last time Pluto was in Aquarius. What can we expect? Because the last time Pluto was in Capricorn, we had the American Revolution and the French Revolution. So we can expect more of that energy to come. Now, when it comes to your own chart, we're going to take a look at where this is happening because it will tell you where your own personal revolution will happen. Where will you see the most change? Where should you prepare your mind for the most change, and what kind of change? And how could it play out in the best way possible? Because it can. Depends what area of your life. Pluto will rip things apart, but it will revolutionize and it will liberate you as well from the confines. So it's not easy energy, Pluto. But you will be a different person after. You will reinvent yourself. And society is about to reinvent itself too. So if you would like to take a deeper look as to what these planets mean and what they rule in more detail and where they fit in your chart and what would you expect to happen based on what's in your chart, then I hope that you will join me for my workshop. I'm just going to put up that poster one more time so that you can see. There we go. There. So February 23rd. So a couple weeks before some of the shifts happen and a month before Pluto and Mars shift out. You have a month. We'll take an hour, we'll take 2.5 hours. I don't want to have too many people in the workshop so that we can go in depth. So you'll want to sign up early because I'd like to only have, you know, maybe 8 to 10 people max so that we can really go into this deeply. And we're going to take a good look and we're going to guide you through. So if you want to join, you can just email me. My email is right there at the bottom, but I'll put it in the links underneath this YouTube video. And you'll need your birth time, if you can find it, your birthday and your birth time. And I will help start to guide you through this next chapter. And you'll have, as I said, like a month to ponder how this can all play out before it actually happens. All right. I hope to see you there. And don't be scared. Don't be scared. Lots of good things can happen during these chapters as well. All right. Take care.